My name is Anass. I'm a final year medical student studying in London and a YouTuber. For quite a while I've been wanting to upgrade my desk setup to something that fits my needs a bit better. Previously I had a very cheap and affordable setup which worked at the time. I had a simple Linman table from IKEA, but I found that the desk was too short and the laptop itself was a bit out of date. Now that productivity and creativity has become a much more important part of my life, I felt it was time to go all out on this desk setup. So you might have seen my last desk setup video where I went through kind of a minimal and more of an affordable type of setup. But a lot has changed since then. We've got a completely new desk, a new laptop, a new monitor, a new chair, and a few other bits and pieces. Some of these items are more on the expensive side, some are more on the affordable side. The point of this video isn't to say that you should be getting this exact same desk setup. People will have different needs depending on their profession and their interests. Rather, it's about inspiring a look and an aesthetic. So watch the video, enjoy the video, see what you like. You might like the desk, not the monitor, then get the desk. You might like the monitor, not the desk, then get the monitor. You might not like anything, then don't get anything. Do you get what I'm saying? So I hope you find this video useful. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the next 10 to 15 minutes, however long this video is gonna be. So one more thing, I am very active on the Instagram. I post like pretty much every day. So head off there, I'm gonna put the gram here. If you're interested, go and follow that. Now, in terms of the structure of the video, I'm gonna start off by talking about the desk itself, which is the main piece of the whole desk setup. Then we'll move on to talk about the laptop, the monitor, and the peripherals. Then we'll talk about how I was able to achieve a one cable solution. So everything in the desk setup is connected to the laptop via a single USB cable. How was I able to do that? We'll talk a bit about that. Then we'll talk about the cable management, the new chair, and finally the overall vision and aesthetic of this whole thing. So let's start with the desk, which I think really is the key item out of the setup that I have at the moment. It's the standing desk by Fully, and I kid you not, had they not been kind enough to send me the desk for the setup, I would have gone and bought it myself because it's next level. And disclaimer, this is not a sponsored video. I decided to go with the 160 by 80 centimeters, and it fits perfectly into the corner of my room. It gives enough space for the monitor and the laptop stand without making it feel crowded, as well as enough space on either side of the desk. It comes in a few other sizes and a few other colors. I went for the all black legs and black laminate tabletop to fit the overall aesthetic. Now the assembly process was fine, fairly easy to do. They have a video online which shows how to put it together. It comes in separate packages, so that's essentially the tabletop and the legs, and there's not much to say about that, to be honest. The desk maximum height is perfect for me when I'm standing, and that's the extended range that I went for. And for reference, I'm about 193 centimeters in height. You also have this controller on the side of the table which allows you to move the desk up and down. You can also program 4 different heights to the controller memory. So if I click on 3, it takes it up to the maximum height. The desk itself is very stable. There's a slight shake when it's at its full height, but I think this is something that's consistent with all types of standing desks. It doesn't make much noise when adjusting the height. I had an issue when they first delivered the desk. It made some strange noises when I was adjusting the height, but then I dropped them an email and they sent me a replacement leg the following day. I usually use it in 3 main heights that I've programmed. The first is the normal kind of sitting position. The second is the stand sitting position, and the third is the full standing position. Overall, I have to say that the desk is sick. It looks good, it's aesthetically pleasing, and overall it's very functional as well. And so if you're interested in getting the desk, then I've left a link in the description below. So use that link, it will take you directly onto the website, and yeah, you can use that. This takes us onto the driver of this desk setup, which is the 16-inch MacBook Pro. This is something that I just had to get. The last laptop I had was from 2014 and was the base model 13-inch MacBook Pro. It was so frustrating editing on it. For that reason, I went with fairly high specs of this Mac. For anyone who's interested, it has the i9 8-core processor with 32GB of RAM, 8GB of memory, 1TB SSD, and the maximum graphic card possible on this Mac. And honestly, it cuts through editing like butter even when I'm editing 4K footage, and it's made editing quite fun now actually. It sits on this silver laptop stand and allows for a dual screen functionality. This is the same stand that I talked about in my previous video, so I won't mention much about it. The only thing is that the stand itself is in silver and the laptop is in space grey. The ideal scenario would have been to match the colours, but it is what it is. I wasn't going to buy a new stand just to match colors. As you may know, Apple decided to bring back the old mechanical keyboard instead of the faulty ones they've had for the previous generations, and now it's actually really pleasant to type on. It's got a separate power key with Touch ID. It's also got the touch bar at the top, which I'm not really a fan of, but it is what it is. So overall, the laptop came in at, I think, $3,250. It's definitely not the spec that most people will need. If you're just going to use the laptop for like studying or as a work laptop, then literally just get the base model MacBook Pro or MacBook Air, and that will probably do the job quite well. Now the laptop is connected to the monitor through a single USB-C cable, which also charges the laptop at the same time. And this is a smooth transition into the monitor that I use. You might know that previously I had another 29-inch ultra-wide LG monitor, but it would have been difficult to use this with a new Mac without any adapters, and also it was slightly too small for my liking, so I decided to upgrade to a 34-inch ultra-wide curved 4K monitor. Now in terms of pixel density, it's not exactly 4K because it's ultra wide, so the pixels are slightly more dispersed, but it's a really nice display nonetheless. I find that it's now even more productive and nicer to have multiple windows open. I've got an app which I bought for $1.99 called Magnet, which allows you to drag and drop windows and resize them quickly onto the screen. For editing, this has brought up the productivity even further. The monitor is mounted on a VESA stand clamped onto the tabletop. I chose this because it gives it this floating look, but also allows for more space underneath the table. Since the mount comes out on the side, I feel this gives it a much more aesthetically pleasing look. The monitor itself on Amazon at the moment is £694, or you can round it to 700, and the VESA mount is around £25. In terms of peripherals, not much has changed. I've still got the same Apple keyboard and Logitech G Master mouse, which I talked about in the previous video. I thought getting some new ones would honestly just be a waste of money. The only change I've made is that I've bought this leather mouse pad, or more like a desk mat. Its main function is really just to protect the desk from all the movement of the mouse and the keyboard, but also I feel like it adds a sense of depth to the desk, but that's just me. I bought it on Amazon for a grand total of £16. Now, how have I managed to have a single cable solution? I've got the mouse, any SD cards, USB cables, charging, the monitor all plugged into the laptop via a single USB-C cable. First, I have the laptop connected via a USB-C directly into the monitor. Then I've got one long USB 3.0 extension cable running from the monitor to underneath the table, connecting to a USB 3.0 to USB-C adapter. That is then connected to this multi-adapter that sits right next to the chair underneath the table. Here I can quickly insert USB cables, SD cards with easy access while I'm sitting down. I've got the adapter stuck to underneath the table using Velcro. This all in all means that I never really need to plug anything into the laptop directly, and whenever I want to just take the laptop, I'll remove one cable and carry it away. Now, in terms of cable management, Fully also sent me 2 cable management trays, which I drilled into the far back of the desk, and I literally just stuffed everything into them. I also have this power strip clamped to the side, which means that I never really need to use the mains for power. I can just plug anything directly into the side of the desk. Now moving on to chairs, as you might know, previously I had a pretty basic chair from IKEA, and I said in the last video that I didn't really recommend it because of the back pain and it wasn't particularly comfortable. The chair that I'm using at the moment is one by Fully, and you'll find the link in the description below, and it's made a massive difference to the overall comfort while I'm working. It's adjustable in terms of hip angle and therefore the back angle, and also has this mesh type of fabric or surface at the back, which increases the comfortability factor. You can adjust the height of the arms and also the angles at which the handles sit. Now finally, what kind of vision and aesthetic was I going for? I've kept it largely similar to the theme of my last desk setup, all black or silver. I've completely avoided any unnecessary items on the table. Some people like having some greenery or plants on the table, but that's just not for me. I like to have only the necessities at hand just to maintain a clean look. On the wall behind the monitor, I've still got this 3D wooden world map. It now looks even better when I raise the table to its maximum height, with the map peeking out of the sides of the monitor. The light adds this fine touch to the whole look as well. And overall, that's it for the maximum productivity aesthetics desk setup for 2020, and I couldn't have wished for anything better than what I have at the moment. If you liked this video, then make sure you like the video, leave a comment below what you thought about it, and also go and follow the Instagram. Use the links below if you want to buy any of this stuff that I've showed, and that's it. Safe.